board meeting. I welcome all invited guests and elected officials. Are there any elected officials? Any others? I don't see any. Thank you all for being here. Reminder to turn off all cell phones, Nextels, and pagers. It does interrupt our production. I'd like for y'all to think just for a second about the hard work that Mike Shaley has done. We lost Mike this week. He was head of the ministerial group that helped choose the people to come and pray for us. He lost a battle with cancer. So if you would, Mr. Carmichael, if you'll include Becky Shaley in your prayers. We call on Dave Carmichael to bring our prayer today. And then right after that, we'll have the presentation of colors by South Paulding High School Junior ROTC. Would you stand with me if you're able?
Please pray silently with me. Let's pray together. Heavenly Father, we just thank you that we can bow before you and for the next breath, for life. We remember the words that your ways are higher than our ways, your thoughts are higher than our thoughts, and we would aspire to those higher thoughts and ways, Lord. Thank you for the privilege of gathering freely in a free country. We pray for humility and discernment and wisdom today. With all the world's problems that are so very, very severe and the barbaric things that are going on, we thank you that our little problems are really minuscule and that the treasures of family and friends are, in our faith are just so significant in our lives. We thank you for being able to live in a free land and that we can protect that. And we thank you for the ultimate freedom in Jesus Christ. And it's in his name that we pray. Amen. Amen. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh. Right. Colors. Post. Breathe in. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Or, right, forward,
We have John Betzel, which is speaking to Coggins, and Kathy Helms under agenda items. Now for minutes, action on August the 26th, 24 work session minutes and August 26th, 2014 board meeting minutes. Do I hear a motion? Motion to approve. Second. Motion second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Again, just as a reminder, the family of Mike Shaley. Under invited guests today, we're honored to have Greg Appleby with the Paulding County High School Army Junior ROTC to present regarding Wounded Warriors Retired Veterans Service Project. If you'll come up, and are these guys with you?
Yes, sir, they are.
We all come and stand up here at the podium in front of you. You're our future, we won't look at you.
sir. I appreciate the opportunity for us to come up here today. If you're wondering, we are on an official field trip, so we're not skipping school. So these kids are here legitimately, but yeah, once again, this is the future, not only of Paulding County, but I'm sure of the United States. But what we've taken the opportunity to come up here today to meet with the commissioners and later on get a photo opportunity that I'll tell you about here. Each year, the junior ROTC at Paulding County High School gives back to our community in a variety of ways, including a school year endeavor called a service learning project. We've done this in many ways, from fishing trips with wounded warriors to raising funds for an autistic cadet and his dog to be service trained. Other ways we have given back to the community include hosting Veterans Day ceremonies, conducting stocking stuffers for toy drives for our feeder elementary schools, visiting senior citizen homes, or by just simply raising and lowering the national colors on campus. However, amidst all of these activities, we decided to do something more special this past school year, something that would give back to our community in an enduring fashion and leave a legacy of what we hope is years to come. The cadets of Paulding County High School Junior ROTC conducted a service learning project to help benefit wounded warriors and retired veterans of the United States military in the Paulding County area. We worked with the Paulding County School District to establish reserved parking slots at some of our local schools in the district office, similar to that of expected mother reserve parking that you may see at some retail shopping centers. Our project grew exponentially as its popularity spread throughout the community. To date, we've established signs at local businesses, churches, and other community support locations. And we're proud to say that it also found its mark here on the county government complex. We appreciate the cooperation of the commissioners and staff in help making this project successful. And most of all, as a retired veteran myself, I appreciate the steadfast support we receive here in the Paulding County area from all our government employees and citizens. The Veterans Park out front is a great example of how the citizens of Paulding County are giving back to those who sacrifice so much. So on behalf of them, our heartfelt thanks for all of you and all that you have done to honor all our veterans. Thank you very much, and never forget. Thanks.
Do you mind introducing
No, sir.
young people or asking
Not at all.
to introduce yourself?
From your left over here is Cadet Colonel, our battalion commander, Jonathan Carrasco, the executive officer, Jessica Story, one of our staff officers, Darren Pownall, who's got the same similar name, the gentleman up front. You got Mallory Pilgrim, another staff officer, Francesca Davis, and Mason Gunlock.
Thank you all. Let's give it. Let's tighten up a little bit. Thank you. Well, one project. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Bid awards, number one, action to award the tractor and boom truck to Alamo Industrial in the amount of $132,580.05 to a year motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I believe Dave got you on that one. All right, so second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carries 5. Action to award the SmartNet maintenance contract to NDI Network Dynamics Incorporated in the amount of $145,892.15. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion, second, Ms. Graham. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No reports from committees and departments. We have 3 people wishing to speak. John Betzel, 1517 County Road, Ackworth, Georgia. Old business item number 1 and new business item number 3.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. I'm here as an obvious proponent for the airport. Let's get that up front. And I think as a resident, 22-year resident of Paulding County, I'd like to see the tax base for this county broadened. Yesterday, I received my property tax bill for this year. And despite all the homestead exemptions and senior exemptions that I qualified for, that I can find, my property taxes went up by 25% over last year. In addition, this county has one of the highest sales tax rates in the state, 7%. I don't know if any of it's higher. I'd like to see the tax base for this county broadened so that the operation of the county wasn't put on the backs of the property owners and folks who pay sales taxes. Paulding County needs to be something more than just an expensive place to sleep. We need to get business into this county and keep it there. One way to do that, and I can tell you this from experience for over 50 years in aviation and aerospace, is that substantial business is not going to come into a county that doesn't have a viable operational airport. An airport that serves all of aviation, not just general aviation, which is my current chief interest in aviation. I used to be an aerospace engineer for the military, one way or another, for 32 years. But since retiring, actually since before retiring, I've become for the last almost 40 years, I've been a commercial pilot, flight instructor, and currently an aircraft owner. And I would like to be able to base my aircraft in this county. But as of right now, there are not suitable accommodations at Paulding County Airport or anywhere else in the county that I can put it in. If I had my airplane in this county, whatever ad valorem taxes I pay on it would go to this county and not a neighboring county where I have to berth it now. But if with expansion of the airport and a broader tax base that would bring business into this county, I believe that we would be able to make the airport much more than just a server for a certain segment of general aviation. They could serve all of aviation, including limited commercial service, and I'll get to that in a moment. As you can probably tell, and most of you know, I am the Airport Sport Network volunteer for the Paulding County Airport for the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, which is the largest pilot and owners association in the world. And just in this country alone, we have almost 500,000 members. Normally, I'm not, as a volunteer, not an employee of AOPA. I'm not allowed to speak for them unless they ask me to, and they have asked me to give comments and testimony, for instance, to the TSA on certain developments associated with this airport. Some of you all know about that. But I can say something about limited commercial operations, AOPA's position on that, because they've already weighed in on this. And they have stated that provided that limited commercial operations do not adversely impact general aviation. And by the way, general aviation is all civilian aviation except the airlines. And then there's the military too. We'll get to that in a moment. But provided that there's no adverse impact to general aviation, AOPA has no problem with limited commercial operations at this airport or any other airport. In fact, general aviation, limited airline operations, and military operations peacefully coexist at hundreds of airports, if not thousands of airports around the country. There are 5,000 public use airports in this country. And a lot of them are used by all three legs of aviation: general aviation, airlines, and the military. So I would urge this board to approve both of the agenda items for which I got up here to address. The environmental assessment and the agreement between the board and the PCAA. So because those are the next and most immediate steps in getting on with promoting aviation in this county. I'm sorry. So I urge you to approve those items. Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Teddy Coggins, 77, is that Dunby?
Dunby,
Drive.
D-O-N-B-I-E, right.
Business item number 40.
I rise to oppose the IGA agreement. And I'm not up here to point no fingers at anybody, but I am gonna talk about a few of you commissioners and what you have done in the past. Without calling any names, and I'm sure you'll know what I'm talking about. But one commissioner in particular had a very good idea, I thought, to have a steering committee set up to find out what's the problems with the Paulding County Airport Authority, what's the problems with the Industrial Building Authority, and to make recommendations back to this Board of Commissioners and to maybe make some changes as far as the state laws is concerned as it relates to these two authorities. Thought it was a good idea. I've tried to attend every one of those meetings. Some of the IBA meetings I couldn't attend because it's held simultaneously with the Airport Authority, and I was more interested in the Airport Authority. It's a shame that we are now faced with a vote to really just completely wipe out all the work that these steering committees have done for the past several weeks. This IGA agreement there, you know, there's no need to even have any state laws after that. That I know of that. If you just gonna turn everything over to them, just let them have it. I sit here and listen to Blake Swafford this morning. I've heard some of you talk about how out of control he is with the departments that he's running. And I agree. He is totally out of control with some of the things that's been going on with the Airport Authority and with the IBA. Some of you even threatened to rein him in by cutting back on the budget. And when I look at the budget this year, I see that the budget for the Airport Authority is the highest that it's ever been. In fact, from the budget hearing where me and Mike had a few words about it, it went up another $100,000, I think, or close to it. Whatever you do today, I think it's gonna be your legacy. It's what you done as a commissioner and what your position was in the help or hindrance or destruction that you've done to Paulding County. I'm gonna ask you to do some soul searching. Vote against the IGA.
Kathy Helms, 191 Oval Road, Rockmart.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I was hoping to be here this morning, but I've been at the hospital with my dad. He's been admitted for pneumonia, so I've been up in Rome all morning and rushed to make it back for this meeting, so thanks for the opportunity. I have here in front of me the actual agreement for professional services between the Paulding County Airport Authority and Michael Baker Jr. Group. The very first sentence says that the Paulding County Airport Authority is the owner. The FAA identifies the owner of the airport as Paulding County Board of Commissioners. So right off the bat, the very first paragraph of this contract has to be rewritten. At the last Airport Authority meeting, I talked to the Airport Authority and was assured that the $299,000 was indeed all the environmental assessment could cost. But in looking at this contract again, in Article 3, Section B, it says that the owner shall not retain any amounts due from the consultant's invoices, nor withhold any invoices pending FAA or other agency approval. Boy, would I love to have a contract like that. They're gonna get paid no matter what they do. Again, in Article 4, miscellaneous provisions, extra work. It is mutually understood and agreed that the owner will compensate the consultant for services resulting from significant changes in the general scope. Here we've got another possibility of change orders. It has to be authorized by the owner, which is who is the owner? The Paulding County Airport Authority is, according to this contract, is the owner. And it does have to be done prior to undertaking the work. Article 4, Section C. It says that the documents that they create are not intended to be represented or suitable for reuse by the owner. We can't reuse the documents that we're paying $300,000 for. Section D. The consultant shall not be responsible for any time delays in the project. So if he doesn't delay the project, there's no consequences. Section E, to designate a person to act with authority on the owner's behalf and respond in a timely manner. Who is that consultant? Is that Mary Lynch? It's not clear to me. All right. The responsibility of the owner should be to furnish accounting, insurance, and legal counseling as the owner may be required for the project. Are we going to be paying their general liability insurance? Are we going to be covering all the costs associated with the Michael Baker Group for doing this project? Access to records. The owner, the Federal Aviation Administration, the Comptroller General of the United States, or their duly appointed representative shall have access to any books, documents, papers, records, and other evidence for the purpose of examination. But here it says that those can't be used. Those documents created can't be used. And last but not least, on the very last page, it's already been signed by the Michael Baker Group. Not by Paulding County, but, which doesn't make it valid. However, the Michael Baker Group has been basically assured this is their contract. As a business owner and as a person who deals with contracts on a daily basis, I would love to have a contract that favored me as much as this one does with Michael Baker. I just don't think the Michael Baker Group should be doing this environmental assessment. I think that it should be by an outside company that has no additional interest, only for transparency and to make sure that what's done, is not questioned and there is no lingering doubt about the thoroughness of that environmental assessment. Please, please, please table the grant, because as soon as that grant is signed, this environmental assessment can begin. Thank you.
Consent agenda, action on one consent agenda item. Do I hear a motion? Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Under old business, number 1, action to accept a grant from the Georgia Department of Transportation, including a pass-through from the FAA to fund the environmental assessment at the Paul and Northwest Atlanta Airport. The grant shall not exceed $299,095. The grant provides 95% funding for the project. The remaining 5% shall be paid by the Paulding County Airport Authority. This is tabled from August 26, 2014 Board of Commissioners meeting. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion approved. Second. Any discussion?
Yeah, we can approve this grant and stipulate that they use somebody else besides the Michael Baker Group that did the work in 2005. We don't need to go down this road where we know the road's gonna be a dead end with more issues. asking y'all to withdraw that, go back and let's make a motion to approve this with somebody else other than the Michael Baker Group. We already know what this is gonna do. So why do we need to go down that road and get there at the end and say, oh, here we are, this is what's happened? The citizens have spoke, and that's the main topic that they've spoke about has been the environmental assessment, has been the Michael Baker Group, LPA Group. I mean, if we know this is gonna cause us heartache and trouble at the end, we know it's gonna add to whatever we already think the lawsuits are gonna be, why would we go forward with this? I'm asking you to withdraw that, and let's do the right thing for the county, for the citizens. Get an environmental assessment, which is what we need. The county and the citizens deserve an environmental assessment. It should have been done from the get-go. We've known about this since December. We've had chances to change this and use somebody else that's not gonna be, not gonna have a controversial issue with us. And at the end, we can tell the citizens, we did the best we could do. We got you an environmental assessment. We didn't use the person that everybody had a controversial issue with. And here it is out in the open. Here's the environmental assessment, and it is what it is.
Sometimes you say something as though it was the absolute, but there are other citizens in this county besides what are in this room, and everybody doesn't agree on that logic that they're against Michael Baker.
I understand. And there may be some of them in here that don't agree that we need to use somebody else other than the Michael Baker Group. But the outcry of the citizens has spoken, and I haven't had citizens contact me through email or text message or phone calls saying, hey, please pass that and use the Michael Baker Group. I've had citizens contact me and say, don't use the Michael Baker Group. Please don't use the Michael Baker Group. And I've had citizens say we need to do an environmental assessment. And I've said, I agree 100%. We should have done this from the beginning. We shouldn't have had to be forced to do it. I think it's a different ballgame when you're in general aviation and you go to commercial. I think it should have been done to begin with. However, it wasn't. We're being made to do it. We need to do an environmental assessment. But I don't think any of y'all have had a list of citizens knocking on the door saying, please, please, please do the environmental assessment with the Michael Baker Group. And if we could just take that issue off the table, then everybody can feel good that we're doing the environmental assessment and we're doing it open, honest, and transparent. And we're getting somebody that wasn't there before and has done all the work. I think that's the right thing to do for the citizens.
I'll call the question. There's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
That carries 4-1. Under new business, action to approve budget amendments for fiscal year 2014. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
Barnett, second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries 5-0. Number 2, action to adopt resolution 14-28, creating a covenant running with the land for the Paulding County War Veterans Monument and authorizing its conveyance subject to covenant. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries 5-0. Number 3, action to enter into an intergovernmental agreement between the Paulding County Airport Authority for the operation of the Silver Comet Field at the Paulding Northwest Atlanta Airport, and I make that in the form of a motion for support. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion.
Yes. Chairman, I assume you will be recusing yourself from this vote because you're on airport authority. Everyone knows that you cannot vote to give yourself something. And that's what this vote would be. You would be voting to give yourself something on another board that you are on. So I would assume you're going to recuse yourself.
The chairman of the Board of Commissioners is on the Airport Authority as a member pursuant to the Airport Authority's legislation. He is deemed to be on that authority in order to represent the interest of Paulding County. There is not a basis required under law for any sort of recusal, abstention, in not voting on that. In fact, some would argue that it's because of your position as the chairman that you should vote on the issue involving the Airport Authority.
Well, I would also assume that Mr. Carmichael would recuse himself from the vote because you've only been off the authority for less than 2 years. And as state guidelines with representatives, they don't vote on things on a board or a committee that they sit on unless it's been over the 2 years, 24 months. So with your comment, Mr. Phillips, I would ask that we hold off and table this until you can give this board written confirmation that those two can vote and we can go forward with this vote. Confirmation that we could look at something that would withstand the scrutiny of the Attorney General and the State of Georgia.
As a legal advisor to the Board of Commissioners and also as a former employee of the State Department of Law and the Attorney General's office, I can say that in my legal opinion, and I'm called to give you all my legal opinion, there is no basis under either of the arguments made that would require either the chairman or Commissioner Carmichael to recuse himself from the vote.
I'll call the question.
Well, with everything that we've gone through in our county over the past year, I would think that we would want to make sure that we're clear on this and that this can happen so that we don't have any kind of ethics coming down the pipe towards anybody on this board. There's things that are, I brought up the point this morning about the 60 acres and the 163 acres. You confirmed that 25 acres of the 60 acres is actually in the 163. And I know that's an option, Mr. Swafford. We got things that aren't, we've had time, y'all have had time to deal with a lot of these things, but we got things that are not taken care of here. There is no reason for us to do this, that we need to do the right thing for the citizens of Paulding County. I mean, we formed steering committees in June that y'all wanted to do it. And we put them fellas and ladies to work for 3 months. We haven't even allowed them to finish up. They're going to finish up in October, by the end of October, and bring back their suggestions. That's what you guys wanted to do. That's what we did. And come Thursday night, if we pass this, they might as well just pack it up.
I will say, Mr. Chairman, just in regard to Commissioner Fallon's statement, he did ask in this morning's meeting that I look at the 60 acres involved. I was able to confirm, it appears on the documents I've been able to review, that there are approximately 25 acres within that 60 that Paulding County does own. Appreciate you giving me the opportunity to take a look at that during the workshop.
And I think what the 163 acres has been an issue. I don't think that doing this intergovernmental agreement and sticking the 163 acres in the bottom part of that agreement to give that to them too and sign it over, if it was important for us to get some things wrapped up and taken care of, Mr. Swafford, that airport's been opened up since, I believe, November of '08. We've let that issue sit there since November of '08. We can't hang our hat on that's what we're trying to do. My view is, I want to make it clear, it's my view that some of this intergovernmental agreement is that people are trying to patch up some things that were done incorrectly. It's not easy sitting up here dealing with this, but we got to do the right thing. Y'all have no right to, the airport authority has no right to go and lease out or auction out or anything that they don't own. I mean, no right at all. That contract's been done. It's out there. There's an option for that property. We need to, if we're going to clean something up, we got to clean it up right. This is not cleaning it up. You still have a contract that was dated back in November of 12. I believe, and I may be mistaken about some of that because there's several issues on the contract. But you've committed 25 acres out of 163 that you don't own as an airport authority. We all know there's issues that need to be taken care of, but I think there's a right way and a wrong way to do it, and to come up with a 9-page or whatever it is intergovernmental agreement for us to vote on and hand this over when this has been a hot topic here in this county, airports as a whole for 40+ years, and for the last 12 months, we've had, you can call it blue shirts in here, you can call it people that are against. I know there's people that are for it. We don't. There's a right way and a wrong way to do things. This is not the right way to do business. Guys, we got this Thursday. It's Tuesday. Y'all had since October 3rd. You've had since November of 2012 with the contract that was not done correctly. I think there's other things that were not done correctly that need to be addressed, and this is not fixing that issue. You've had plenty of time, but yet, I guess some of y'all have been working on the intergovernmental agreement for 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, and here we're going to just cram this through from getting it Thursday. Most of the citizens that had any kind of view of this, they got it, I think, maybe Sunday, right? When I emailed you. I mean, other than the agenda, they didn't have the agreement. This is not the way. This is not the way to do it. This, we're doing the same thing here on this board. We're doing the same thing that y'all started doing in June of 12, and signing in October and November of 12, and then announcing in October 3rd of 13. This is not right. We need to stop this.
I'll call the question.
Please,
And I'll call the question.
please withdraw the motion.
I'll call the question. There's a motion and a second. All in favor
Please
say aye.
withdraw the motion.
Aye.
Please withdraw the motion.
Any opposed?
Nay.
And it carries 3-2. That is the conclusion of our regular session. We do have a, please, I need you to be public participation, Kristen Waddell on the Silver Commerce Trail. For y'all to have a little background, I believe Kristen is the
In-law.
sister-in-law of the lady that was attacked on the Silver Commerce Trail. Thank you for being here.
Certainly. In 2006, my family and I bought a house that backed up to the Silver Comet Trail in the Overlook subdivision. And we were assured at that time that that would add great value to our home, and that, and for 8 years we used it heavily with our family and our friends, and exercised there, taught my daughter to ride a bike on that trail. And unfortunately, this past July 29th, our calm was shattered when my sister-in-law was attacked very brutally on that trail. Within 48 hours, my family and I put together just sort of an effort to take back the trail, because we were told at every turn, including the the sheriff's office in this county that we should just stay away from that trail. Well, we don't have that option. It's in my backyard. I feel very strongly that we should be free to go out there and feel safe and feel like as a community we can thrive and use what we consider to be a jewel of our county. We did go on the news because there were many people in this metropolitan area that don't even have any exposure to that trail, don't even know how wonderful it is, and what a great asset it is to the counties that it runs through. We've been told that, I was told that just several days ago. I was sitting waiting for some food in downtown Dallas, and a man told me, you just need to stay away from there. And I hate that, and we would really like to see that opinion turned around. We did hold a Take Back the Trail event, several events that we've done in partnership with bike groups and bike shops and just our own friends, walking and riding out there to feel that the more people that are on the trail, the safer it becomes for everyone. We did see on the news that Paulding County has managed to find $600,000 to put security cameras on the trail, which we're grateful for. Myself and my family have also started a fund which our personal friends and family and strangers have added to. We have raised several $1,000s ourselves that we would like to see put to good use to improve security on the trail. We do know that there are plans to add patrols, and we do see the sheriff out there very regularly. But we have friends that work for the Parks Department in Cobb, and they mentioned to us that they really thought the installation of 911 emergency phones would be especially helpful in the Paulding area. About every mile, I believe, is where they have them in Cobb. And I know that we have one out here in front of this building on this little trail, I think I was told, just that little circle around there. Several reasons we think this would be important. Luckily, for the grace of God, there was a man that found my sister-in-law that day who had a cell phone and was able to call for help. And luckily, she was near Academy Drive where they could get an ambulance to her. As you may or may not know, there are many places on the trail that are remote and would not be easily reached by a motor vehicle. Also, if you happen to have an accident, which could be something like happened to my sister-in-law or just a bike accident, you could break your phone, you could not have reception. There are places where that would not be the case. And also you might not even know where you are. You know, the mileage markers are approximate, but they are also spaced apart, or if you're not noticing where they are, you might not even be able to tell anybody how to come find you. So we feel that having these every mile would, if you could just pick it up, it would go directly to a 911 call center, that they'd be able to pinpoint your location and get you the help that you need. The man that found Tina that day said that we do understand this is a rarity for terrible things to happen on the trail, but he said that he waited about 8 minutes before the sheriff even came. He had just passed him because nobody really realized how severe the attack was or how much of an emergency it was. We have raised, like I said, money ourselves that we would like to put forward to this project. I've spoken with Mr. Justice about what it would entail. I have no idea about the cost. We would, obviously, as a community group, continue to help raise money for that. We would just like to put forth a proposal to develop a plan for how much that would cost, maybe even look into getting grants or anything that would help fund adding more security to the trail. We have heard, I know, some very important issues here today, but this one we feel like is sort of a life or death issue.
Kristen, I'm glad you're here, and I'm going to call on Mike Jones, if you would, to give us an update. And Chuck Rand, who's honcho this, along with our sheriff. I believe there is a means for contributing to a fund to find out who it is. At my last count on that, it was about $23,000.
Yes, sir.
Maybe more than that in there by now. And your work to improve the trail, I appreciate it, and we'll work very closely with you on that. Micah, you or Chuck, either one give us an update on it?
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate Ms. Waddell's comments, and she makes some very good points. We'll start first with the camera upgrade for the trail. Phase 1 that you approved back, I think the second meeting in August, is well underway. We anticipate a DOT permit soon. We should have the final electrical plans, which is what's really driving the schedule. Monday, the permit will go into DOT. State DOT has been fantastic to work with. Our DOT director, Scott Green, has been straw boss on that one. Lee Deems, that works for our DOT, is the project manager for this, doing an outstanding job. There are a lot of moving parts. When you go to put 21, develop 21 remote camera sites, you learn where the challenges are pretty quick. And Ms. Waddell pointed out that there are some remote areas. I think you'll see substantial progress. Folks that are using the trail in the next couple of weeks, you're going to see an awful lot of activity out there. And as power gets to each one of those camera poles, those cameras will go live. Again, our goal is to get phase 1 out of the way immediately and then come back to you for phase 2. In anticipation of Ms. Waddell's visit, I spoke with our Parks and Rec Director, Michael Justice, about the installation of the 911 phones, very similar to what we have here. That possibility exists, and with the addition of these 21 additional sites, it provides an opportunity to make that happen. So I welcome the opportunity to continue that conversation with this group and applaud their efforts for trying to make it better.
So about the 911 phones are actually not a phone necessarily. Isn't it more of a touch type thing that you hit, it calls?
Christina may be here in the room. I don't want to put her on the spot. My understanding of the way these work is once you pick it up, they're active. There's not a dialing associated with it.
Well, thank you again for being here. We asked you to keep, our prayers are with your sister-in-law and her recovery. Could you take a second and physically tell us how she's doing, because we're very concerned.
Yes, sir. It was decided on her family's behalf. She's from Arkansas. She hasn't lived here that long, and there is some sense of guilt that I even feel encouraging her to go out there when she didn't have a buddy. But this happened just a couple miles from our house, and she did feel the same safety that we felt. She did go home to Arkansas to recover because she lived on the 3rd floor in the apartments near the trail, and it was just going to be very difficult for her to get there and to have somebody be with her 24 hours like she could at home. She did have a surgery to put some work back into her face, and she's doing very, very well, actually. She is home, and but as far as I know, doesn't have any plans to return to this area, and has pretty much put it behind her. I don't know what the long-term mental effects are going to be because she doesn't have a lot of memory of the attack. That's why that reward fund, which is a separate fund from the money that we're suggesting donating to this project, is I fear is going to go unused because she doesn't really have anything that we can go on. I know there are not a lot of leads, but that is another reason we've kind of taken up the charge on this, because we can't move back to Arkansas. This is our home, and this is where we want to continue the fight, and we would like to see something good come out of this, and kind of, obviously she's doing well, but we would like there to be a permanent reminder that we would like to be safer in the future. And she is very happy and pleased with everything that we're trying to do. She doesn't, unfortunately, really want to be a part of it or be at the face of the project any more than she already has. But she is doing much better. Thank you.
Very much.
I'd like to see Matt move forward with the possibilities of putting those.
Yeah, absolutely. That is certainly the plan that we're going to take forward. So we're going to get through phase 1, get the locations in, but we can certainly roll that in as part of the phase 2 effort.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Motion second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Stand adjourned.